Saint Augustine, Psalm 39, following. Behold, you have made my days old. Verse 5. For these days are waxing old. I long for new days that never shall wax old, that I may say, old things have passed away. Behold, things are become new. 2 Corinthians 5:17. Already new in hope, then in reality. For thou in hope and in faith, made new already, how much do we even now do after our old nature? For we are not so completely clothed upon with Christ as not to bear about with us anything derived from Adam. Observe that Adam is waxing old within us, and Christ is being renewed in us. Thou, our outward man is perishing, yet is our inward man being renewed day by day. 2 Corinthians 4:16. Therefore, while we fix our thoughts on sin, on mortality, on time that is hastening by, on sorrow and toil and labor, on stages of life following each other in succession, and continuing not, passing on insensibly from infancy even to old age. While I say we fix our eyes on these things, let us see here the old man, the day that is waxing old, the song that is out of date, the Old Testament, when however we turn to the inner man, to those things that are to be renewed in place of these which are to be changed, let us find the new man, the new day, the new song, the New Testament, and that newness let us so love as to have no fears of its waxing old. This man, therefore, who is hasting forward to those things which are new, and reaching forward to those things which are before, says, Lord, make me to know mine end and the number of my days, which really is, that I may know what is wanting unto me. See, he still drags with him Adam, and even so he is hasting unto Christ. Behold, says he, you have made my days old. It is those days that are derived from Adam, those days, I say, that you have made old. They are waxing old day by day, and so waxing old as to be at some day or other consumed also. And my substance is as nothing before you. Before you, O Lord, my substance is as nothing. Before you who seest this, and I too, when I see it only when before you. When before men I see it not. For what shall I say? What words shall I use to show that which I now am is nothing in comparison of that which truly is? But it is within that it is said. It is within that it is felt, so far as it is felt. Before you, O Lord, where your eyes are, and not where the eyes of men are. And when your eyes are, what is the state of things? That which I am is as nothing. But verily, every man living in is altogether vanity. But verily, for what was he saying above? Behold, I have already leaped beyond all mortal things, and despised things below, have trampled underfoot the things of earth, have soared upwards to the delights of the law of the Lord. I have been afloat in the dispensation of the Lord, have yearned for that end which itself is to know no end, have yearned for the number of my days that truly is, because the number of days like these has no real being. Behold, I am already such a one as this. I have already overleaped so much. I am longing for those things which abide. But verily in the state in which I am here, so long as I am here, so long as I am in this world, so long as I bear mortal flesh, so long as the life of man on earth is a trial, so long as I sigh among houses of orphans, as long as while I stand I am in fear lest I fall. Job 3:25. As long as both my good and my ill hangs in uncertainty, every man living is altogether vanity. Albeit man walks in the image. Verse 6. In what image save that of him who said, "Let us make man in our image after our likeness"? Genesis 1:26. Albeit man walks in the image. For the reason he says albeit is that this is some great thing, and his albeit is followed by nevertheless, that the albeit which you have already heard should relate to what is beyond the sun. But this nevertheless which is to follow to what is under the sun, and that the one should relate to the truth, the other to vanity. Albeit then that man walks in the image, nevertheless he is disquieted in vain. Hear the cause of his disquieting, and see if it be not a vain one, that you may trample it under foot, that you may leap beyond it, and may dwell on high, where that vanity is not. What vanity is that? He heaps up riches and knows not for whom he may be gathering them together. O infatuated vanity! Blessed is the man that makes the Lord his trust, and has not respected vanities nor lying deceits. To you indeed, O covetous man, to you I seem to be out of my senses. These words appear to you to be old wives' tales. For you, a man of great judgment and of great prudence, to be sure are daily devising methods of acquiring money, by traffic, by agriculture, by eloquence perhaps, by making yourself learned in the law, by warfare, perhaps you even add that of usury. Like a shrewd man as you are, you leave nothing untried, whereby you may pile coin on coin, and may store it up more carefully in a place of secrecy. You plunder others, you guard against the plunderer. You are afraid lest you should yourself suffer the wrong that you yourself do, and even what you do suffer does not correct you. Examine your own heart and that prudence of yours which leads you to deride me, to think me out of my senses for saying these things, and tell me now, you are heaping up treasures. For whom are you gathering them together? I see what you would tell me, as if what you would say had not occurred to the person described here. You will say, I am keeping them for my children. This is the voice of parental affection, the excuse of injustice. I am keeping them, you say, for my children. So then you are keeping them for your children, are you? Did not Idutun then know this? Assuredly he did, but he reckoned it one of the things of the old days that have waxed old, and therefore he despises it, because he was hastening on to the new days. For he, by whom all things were made, Colossians 1:16 has built mansions for all of us. Thither he would have that which we have go before us, that we may not lose it on earth. When, however, you have kept them on earth, tell me for whom you are to gather them together. You have children, add one more to their number, and give something to Christ also. He is disquieted in vain. And now verse 7, and now says this idutun, looking back on a certain vain show and looking up to a certain truth, standing midway where he has something beyond him and something also behind him, having below him the place from which he took his spring, having above him that toward which he has stretched forth. And now when I have overleaped some things, when I have trampled many things underfoot, when I am no longer captivated by things temporal, even now I am not perfect, I have not yet apprehended. Philippians 3:13. For it is by hope that we are saved, but hope that is seen is not hope. For what a man sees, what does he yet hope for? But if we hope for that we see not, then do we with patience wait for it. Romans 8:24 and 25. Therefore he says, and now what wait I for? Is it not for the Lord? He is my expectation, who has given me all those things, that I might despise them. He will give unto me himself also, even he who is above all, and by whom all things were made. Colossians 1:16. And by whom I was made amongst all, even he the Lord is my expectation. You see, idutun, brethren, you see in what way he waits for him. Let no man therefore call himself perfect here. He deceives and imposes upon himself. He is beguiling himself. He cannot have perfection here, and what avails it that he should lose humility? And my substance is ever before you, already advancing, already tending towards him, and to some extent already beginning to be. Still he says, my substance is ever before you. Now that other substance is also before men. You have gold, silver, slaves, estates, trees, cattle, servants. These things are visible even to men. There is a certain substance that is ever before you. Deliver me from all my transgressions. Verse 8. I have overleaped a great deal of ground, a very great deal of ground already. But if we say that we have no sin, we deceive ourselves, and the truth is not in us. 1 John 1:8. I have overleaped a great deal, but still do I beat my breast and say, forgive us our debts as we forgive our debtors. Matthew 6:12. Thou therefore art my expectation, my end. For Christ is the end of the law unto righteousness, and to every man that believes. Romans 10:4. From all mine offences, not only from those that I may not relapse into those which I have already overleaped, but from all without exception of those on account of which I now beat my breast and say, forgive us our debts. Deliver me from all mine offences. Me being thus minded and holding fast what the apostle said, as many of us as be perfect, let us be thus minded. Philippians 3:15. For at the time that he said that he was not already perfect, he then immediately goes on and says, as many of us as be perfect, let us be thus minded. Are you then, O apostle, not perfect, and are we perfect? But has it escaped you that he did just now call himself perfect? For he does not say, as many of you as are perfect, be ye thus minded, but as many of us as be perfect, let us be thus minded. After having said a little before, not that I have already attained, either am already perfect. In no other way then can you be perfect in this life, than by knowing that you can't be perfect in this life. This then will be your perfection, so to have overleaped some things, as to have still some point to which you are hastening on, so as to have something remaining to which you will have to leap on, when everything else has been passed by. It is such faith as this that is secure, for whoever thinks that he has already attained is exalting himself so as to be abased hereafter. Luke 18:14. You have made me the reproach of the foolish. You have so willed it that I should live among those and preach the truth among those who love vanity, and I cannot but be a laughingstock to them. For we have been made a spectacle unto this world, and unto angels, and unto men. 1 Corinthians 4:9. To angels who praise, to men who censure us, or rather to angels, some of whom praise, some of whom are censuring us, and to men also, some of whom are praising and some censuring us. Both the one and the other are arms to us, the one on the right hand, the other on the left. Arms, however, they are both of them, both of these kinds of arms, both those on the right hand and those on the left, both those who praise and those who censure, both those who pay us honor and those who heap dishonor upon us. With both these kinds I contend against the devil, with both of these I smite them, I defeat him with prosperity. If I be not corrupted by it, by adversity, if I am not broken in spirit by it. I became dumb, and I opened not my mouth. Verse 9. But it was to guard against the foolish man that I became dumb and opened not my mouth. For to whom should I tell what is going on within me? For I will hear what the Lord God will speak in me. For he will speak peace unto his people. But there is no peace, says the Lord, to the wicked. Isaiah 48:22. I was dumb and opened not my mouth, because it is thou that made me. Was this the reason that you opened not your mouth, because God made you? That is strange. For did not God make your mouth that you should speak? He that planted the ear, does he not hear? He that formed the eye, does he not see? God has given you a mouth to speak with. And do you say, I was dumb and opened not my mouth because you made me? Or does the clause, because you made me, belong to the verse that follows? Remove your stroke away from me. Verse 10. Because it is thou that hast made me, let it not be your pleasure to destroy me utterly. Scourge so that I may be made better, not so that I faint. Beat me so that I may be beaten out to a greater length and breadth, not so that I may be ground to powder. By the heaviness of your hand I fainted in corrections. That is, I fainted while you were correcting me, and what is meant by correcting me, except what follows. Thou with rebukes hast chastened man for iniquity. You have made my life to consume away like a spider. Verse 11. There is much that is discerned by this idutun, by every one who discerns as he does, who overleaps as he does. For he says that he has fainted in God's corrections, and would fain have the stroke removed away from him, because it is he who made him. Let him renew me who also made me. Let him who created me create me anew. But yet, brethren, do we suppose that there was no cause for his fainting, so that he wishes to be renewed, to be created anew? It is for iniquity, says he, that you have chastened man. All this, my having fainted, my being weak, my crying out of the deep, all of this is because of iniquity. And in this you have not condemned, but hast chastened me. You have chastened man for sin. Hear this more plainly from another psalm. It is good for me that you have afflicted me, that I might learn your righteousness. I have been afflicted, and at the same time it is good for me. It is at once a punishment and an act of favor. What has he in store for us after punishment is over, who inflicts punishment itself by way of favor? For he it is of whom it was said, I was brought low, and he made me whole. And it is good for me that you have afflicted me, that I might learn your righteousness. Thou chastenest man for iniquity, and that which is written, Thou formest my grief in teaching me, could only be said unto God by one who was leaping beyond his fellows. Thou formest my grief in teaching me, thou makest, that is to say, a lesson for me out of my sorrow. It is thou that formest that very grief itself. Thou dost not leave it unformed, but formest it. And that grief that has been inflicted by you when formed will be a lesson unto me, that I may be set free by you. For the word finges, it is used in the sense of forming, as it were molding my grief, not in the sense of feigning it, in the same way that fingit is applied to the artist, in the same sense that figulus is derived from fingere. Thou therefore hast chastened man for iniquity. I see myself in afflictions, I see myself under punishment, and I see no unrighteousness in you. If I therefore am under punishment, and if there is no unrighteousness with you, it remains that thou must have been chastening man for iniquity.